Whoa, what's it doing? What's it doing? What's it doing? What's it doing? Okay, but I can do that and the car will continue to drive as long as I watch my eyes on the road there. Okay, this ute, sorry. Bear with me, my car is doing the U-turn on its own. This Tesla is currently driving almost by itself. Say hello to Tesla Full Self-Driving Supervised. It's the most advanced version of the company's semi-autonomous driving software, and it is finally here in Australia for us to test. Not available to the public just yet at the time we're making this video, but we're getting a first taste on Aussie roads here in inner Sydney to see what it's like. There are two questions I want to answer in this video. Is it any good? Is it as good as it's claimed to be? Is it really as close to an autonomous car as you can get within the letter of the law? And number two, is it worth the $10,000 asking price that this technology costs? Let's find out in this video. This video is going to be a little bit different to our normal style here at Drive. Rather than a lot of static pieces of camera and a lot of extra shots, we're going to do a bit of a real life test of what this is like to use in the real world on public roads. So I've got a couple of cameras set up through the car here, as you can see different angles behind me, and I'm going to show you just what this tech is really like to use in the real world, if it is worth that $10,000 price. Now, I'm going to throw it at some of the busiest intersections in Sydney we can find, some of the trickiest little driving maneuvers, and just see what it's like to use. Now, this tech's been on sale in Australia for the better part of a decade, but it's been locked basically until the software is ready, and then Tesla will turn it on through a software update that's rolled out over the air. Now, the US has had this feature unlocked for a few years now. It's been in various stages of beta, but it's about to launch here in Australia, and actually as the first right-hand drive market for this technology in the world, ahead of the UK, Japan markets like that. Tesla hasn't announced a date for when FSD will become available to the public, but it says it's very close, and prices start from $10,100 and is available on every Tesla sold new in Australia. It will also be offered through a subscription, the price of which is yet to be confirmed, as well as a 30-day trial with every new Tesla delivered. The initial rollout will focus on Model 3s like this one, built since its facelift in September 2023, as well as Model Ys built since late January 2024, including plenty of old models as well as new models. These vehicles have high-resolution cameras known as Hardware 4. Details of the rollout to older Teslas, built before those dates, are yet to be confirmed. For more details, read the news story at Drive.com.au, link down below. Alright, let's start our test. It must be said, this is not a fully autonomous car. I do have to pay attention to the road ahead. I can keep my hands sort of lightly touching the wheel or off it at times if I want, but I've got to pay attention. I am legally in control if something goes wrong. Now, you can see we're in sort of Chippendale here in inner Sydney. If you live in Sydney, you'll know where we are, and we're coming up to a pretty difficult junction, I have to say. A little sort of straight ahead through this intersection, and then a right and then a left into Broadway Shopping Centre. Again, if you're in Sydney, you'll know where that is. I want to see how this does. Now, I'm not going to intervene until the very last minute. I just want to see how it reacts, because it really should be in the left lane here, but let's see if it realises that and pulls over on its own. So you can see it's come to a full stop, keeping a safe distance, keeping me in the lane, and you can probably see in the background of the things I've just said, it's been doing a good job of sort of following intersections, following roundabouts, things like that. The traffic is moving up ahead. Let's see how well it does this. So it's a little bit slow, you'll notice. It does sort of stay 5-10 k's an hour under the speed limit. Is it gonna, oh, okay. So it is making a lane change, but it's doing it very late. Probably should have been in the left lane there, but it is doing it. It's navigating the corner. This wasn't too bad. It probably could have moved over a bit earlier. This is a very late stage prototype version of the system, I suppose. Not the exact final version that if you own a Tesla in Australia that you will be able to get on the car. So it is a little bit slow. It is a bit late to signal at times, but it does a pretty good job. See, it's slowing down for the speed bumps here and the pedestrian crossing, letting him go. Very slow, very steady. And look, I'd rather it's a safe and slow driver rather than perhaps someone's a bit more aggressive and trying to do things when the car's not in your control. I think the way it's tuned is pretty good for the application. Now, the way the tech works is through maps. So you've got to set a route here on the nav in the car. And you can see, obviously, it does need to know where it's going. It can't just drive aimlessly, I suppose. And it can be anywhere you like. It can be in a tunnel, it can be in sort of point of interest, whatever you want on the maps in the car. And it's pretty easy to activate once you stop. So before you start the drive, you go autopilot. You can go here, full self-driving supervised. And you have an option here if you want to start it when the car's parked. So when you type in a nav destination when you're stopped, you basically press start and it basically does the entire journey on FSD. There's no need to sort of activate it while you're on a roll. If you do need to activate it while you're moving, you just double press the right side button here on the steering wheel, and it sort of beams into life. Now, got a couple options here as well. I can change the speed offset if you want to make it break the speed limit. Again, I'm not going to do that for this video, but it is there for those drivers who want to perhaps do that, I suppose, if the situation requires it. But yeah, it's doing a pretty good job for what it's worth. You can see tackles that intersection quite well. It is generally quite smooth, but there are some cases where you can trip it up that we'll show you a little bit later in this video. Now, it's here on straighter roads where you kind of notice there are fewer benefits to having the full FSD system. It's fundamentally adaptive cruise control, lane centering with a bit of lane changing there as well. It's pretty similar to the enhanced autopilot option you can get on Teslas. It's about $5,000 below obviously the full $10,000 FSD package. And it does do a pretty good job, as we expect of all Teslas. Center of the lane quite well, good distance to the car in front. It is doing a pretty good job in that regard. But again, you can get this basic lane centering for free on every new Tesla. And the lane change is something you can pay $5,000 for rather than the full $10,000 for this package. So if you do a lot of highway driving and not a lot of city Ks, it may not be worth it for you to buy the full $10,000 FSD pack. That assumes obviously you do see the benefit in having this kind of tech on offer to you in the car. Doing a lane change here, it's got a good distance to the car behind, it's not being too close. Yeah, getting in the left lane nicely. So the route I've got it set here is to go over the bridge and then come back. And then I'm going to take us somewhere in Paddington to show you a little bit more around town and at lower speeds, sort of tight city areas. Now, pulling off the expressway here, you can see this is a pretty tricky intersection. They've sort of recently reprofiled it. It's a bit hard, even for human drivers, to manage, to be honest. Pulling left here, indicator's not on yet. It's going to put the indicator on. No, it didn't. I'll put it on for it. There you go. So it does have a couple stumbles, and it is generally quite late to put the indicator on. Again, that may change in the final version that becomes available to the public, but navigate that all right. Again, as the left turns, it's sort of as easy as it gets in a round of that, I suppose. Keeping good distance, slow speed. It's managing the hazards around me. I've got a full visualization of what the tech is doing here, so you can see all the pedestrians, the car in front, the sort of blue line, like sort of glow, I suppose, is showing you where it's going. And it's doing okay for what it's worth. Again, it's not the most demanding of environments, but yeah, in this environment particularly, it is doing okay. See, the car just came to a full stop there at a set of traffic lights, recognises the lights are red, again, on this visualization on the screen here. You can see all three sets of traffic lights that are visible to me, and when they go yellow, it's sort of realising that, again, it's sort of a flashing greeny yellow light there. It does have a tendency to go through yellow lights, just generally speaking, out of traffic lights normally, but it doesn't go through reds. It does a pretty good job there, at least from our testing that we've done so far in this car. So your car stopped, you can see all the parked cars, see the speed sign there as well. It's okay at reading speed signs, not the best. Traffic sign recognition systems in cars generally can be a bit hit and miss. This is one of the better ones, but again, it is probably not quite as good as it needs to be if the car is basically going to drive itself most places. Navigating this all right. Speed bump there. What's it going to do to this car? It's going to go, yep, he's all right. It's all good. Over the speed bump. Just brushing the wheel. I'm not putting any input on the wheel, just keeping my hands touching it in case I need to intervene at any moment. It's slowing down for the parked car, because it doesn't know what it's going to do. I don't know if he knows what he's going to do, but I think he's backing into the spot. So we're all good there. So you can see it's a little bit slow as well to pull off at the lights. Again, it is a bit more cautious in the way it drives. Picks the left lane. You can't change the following distance to the car in front, at least based on the settings that we've poked through in this car, in this version of the software. But yeah, follows the corner nicely. Again, a little bit slow, but I suppose slow and steady is better than fast and reckless, especially for sort of very new tech like this that may not be perfect in all environments. Voiceover Alex here. It's worth noting at this point that there is a speed setting for FSD available in US cars that allows it to drive more or less aggressively depending on the driver's preferences. But that's not available in the version of the software that we're testing here in Australia, at least for now. All right, back to the video. It is following this truck, again, quite slowly, but the truck is, again, going very slowly. And if I want, I can go give it a lane change. Now that the lines are broken, it will overtake the truck, and then it will speed up quite progressively. I can give it a prod on the throttle, and it will sort of realise that I want to go faster and just obviously get a bit of a wriggle on. But again, if you're a fast driver, perhaps you're someone that likes getting being a bit quicker on the speed limit, following the speed limit all the time. This tech may be a little bit too slow for you, but if you're a more cautious driver, I think you'll find it really resonates with the way that you drive. So coming up to a bit of a trickier intersection here. So it's got to sort of pull off the left-hand side, you can see, and take a bit of an exit here. The traffic normally at peak hour merges from here. It gets a bit tricky, but it has done that pretty well. Merging, no issues, no cars it's cut off. And then we'll have to take the left lane, bottom of this hill. It's following it quite nicely there. It's a pretty straight road, but some of these lane changes can even trip up human drivers a lot of the time. Slowing down neatly. I don't know how much you can see of me, given we're in a tunnel, but popping out there at the bottom, jumping the left lane again, it is a little bit slow. And again, the fact that you can prod the throttle is definitely a handy feature without having to kill the whole system entirely. So there you go, turns there quite nicely. I'm going to follow this road for a bit and make a stop on the way to our final destination, where I want to show you a tricky intersection we're going to take on with this car. So keeping the lane quite neatly there. So it's coming up to slow traffic. Is it going to overtake? It's being quite cautious, as you'd hope, I suppose. Not too bad in terms of distance, that Model Y there. Follows it around the bend. Again, this is a pretty sort of straight road. There's not a lot of turns I've got to navigate for the moment, but I'm just doing a pretty alright job. If I remove that waypoint, just to get it sort of pressing on a bit. Okay, the car did overtake us because we are going a little bit slowly, but I don't think it's unreasonably slowly. 50, sort of 40 in a 50 zone is not the worst it could possibly go. It's not doing 20, for example. So coming up to this junction here, slows down for the car in front. They're a bit slow to move off the lights, perhaps. Not too slow to react. Takes the corner quite neatly. A smidge close to that little median there, but not too bad. Holding a good job here. Again, just brushing my hands on the wheel here. So coming up to speed bump here, you can see with pedestrian crossing, slowing down neatly there. Waits for her to get clear and presses on. The speed limit here is 50, as the car is recognised. And it's doing 35, 36, which is okay. I suppose it's, again, keeping it more cautious, which is a good thing, given it is a pedestrianised area. Going through this intersection, whoa, I was going to stop. Nope, I'm going to put the brakes there. That probably would have been a little bit too touch and go. The law states that there's no one behind me, so I really should have stopped for that intersection, but the car didn't stop. Now, would it have stopped if the lights had gone red? Would the brakes have jammed on? I don't know. I didn't really want to find out. But yeah, some places where it could be improved. It does take a little bit more risk in some areas than we'd like. It also is a bit cautious in others. Again, you got to pay attention. It's not a fully autonomous car. I'm still in control, so it is my responsibility to watch the road ahead and make sure the car doesn't do anything dumb. As you can see, seeing everything around me, all the parked cars, recognising the difference between cars and trucks. Is it going to let this guy in? I think it will. So yeah, I can see the car across the intersection there, the pedestrian crossing to an extent, speed bump there. It is very cautious, very slow, as I said. See what speed it naturally gets to, and I may give it a little bit of a hurry up in case it gets a little bit too slow at times. Just navigating this quite well. Again, super slow, super cautious, keeping with traffic. Going through a bit of an open junction here, coming to another sort of tricky intersection here in Sydney. Here at King's Cross, the big Coke sign up there. Yep. So it's picking left lane nicely, keeping the speed limit again, well under 40, which is good. Going quite slow, keeping the right lane, not doing anything sort of crazy and erratic, which is nice. Now you can see there, that's where we're going on the map. It's a pretty straight route, but there is a bit of a curly junction there we'll have to navigate. Is it going to overtake this car? If I was a human, I'd probably try and get around. Let's see what the car does. Okay, the learners, oh yep. It's going around them. Again, I'm brushing the wheel but not actually putting any input on it. I think pretty decent job there. No one on the left side. was all right, pretty decent job there. Again, it is very slow, I suppose, so it's probably a little bit easier for it, but you can see it can respond to things that come up, and it's not a bit of a, cookie cutter, or you can sort of, what it can see on the map kind of a system, I suppose. So it's going to pick the left lane here, hopefully. Signaling quite early. It has a tendency to signal a bit late at times, but did a pretty good job on that intersection there. Turning left, went through in the green initially, so I'm not too bothered by that. And speeding up, and it does that job all pretty well. Doing 30 here, I can give it a bit of a prod if I want. If I want to go full 40, and it will, oh, now it's not doing more than 40. That was a little bit too quick. And there you go. Okay, now it's doing 40. We're back in business. All good there. Coming up to what's going to do with this bus, pulling it out of the way. Now, if that was me, I'd probably slow down a little bit for that, more than it did. Perhaps you can see a pedestrian on the other side, or the lack thereof of a pedestrian, but not too bad there. Bit of a tricky junction here with a number of different sort of avenues for it to go. Turn right. Again, very sort of cautious there. Nice job. And let's see how it handles this. Because the one that sort of go up there onto that road. So it thought about it. Thought about pulling out, but it didn't, which is nice. And then it's going to go up there. That junction. Pretty good distance to the median there, not too close. Slow down for this pedestrian. And then our destination here is at the end of this dead-end street for us to navigate. Our final challenge, set off here, activate FSD. Let's see if it'll do a U-turn. I'm curious. I don't know if it's actually going to work. You're going to see with me here. I'm going to go, is it going to try and go down the one-way street? Don't go down the one-way street. This is pretty new for me, I got to say, autonomous U-turn. Doing a pretty good job there. It's parking, it's doing that. It's going down this way. Okay, this ute, sorry. Bear with me, my car is doing the U-turn on its own. Slow and steady. I might give it a slight prod there to get to move on. Getting a little bit close to that CRV, but I don't mind it too much. And there you go, a U-turn done almost by itself on Tesla FSD. All right, back down into this junction. See quite a tight opening there for that car. No one coming. Signals at the right time. No signal yet. Is it going to put an indicator on? Bit late, but better than nothing, I suppose. Keeping it very slow there. 6 k's an hour down to. Going to come to a stop sign. Stops there nicely. Okay, setting off. Whoa, it's changed its mind. Okay, now it's going again. Interesting, all right. So yeah, a couple of rough edges, but it is doing that pretty well, navigating the intersection pretty well. And that does trip up a lot of human drivers as well, that junction. So it probably could be worse in the way the system works. Coming to a junction here, I can see a single way it can go. It is pretty simple, but lane positioning is pretty good. Doesn't really sort of veer the left or right of the lane. There's a lot of sort of normal lane setting systems in cars can do. Keeping to the limit, picks the right lane because it knows that it's got to take that turn up here. Does a pretty good job of that. No one there. Slows down neatly for that. Again, I'm not putting any steering input in. I'm just sort of brushing the wheel just for the sake of it, but I can do that and the car will continue to drive as long as I watch my eyes on the road there. So it picks the right lane, coming up with this junction, it is navigating that pretty well. Not a whole lot of complaints. You've seen a couple of rough edges here and there, but it is pretty good. And especially compared to what you can get in other cars with just general lane setting systems, nothing on the market can really do what this can in terms of going to traffic lights, navigating junctions, T-intersections, roundabouts, all that kind of stuff. That this can, that nothing else on the market, in Australia at least, can do. A lot of the Chinese brands that are in Australia now, people like Xpeng or Xiaomi, that could come here in a couple of years, do have autonomous systems in China that can do things similar to what this Tesla does. Even the likes of GWM that offers tank four-wheel drives in Australia has this kind of tech in China. Is it as refined and is it available in Australia? Not sure about the first one, but that's a definite no on the second one. In a tunnel here, I don't know how much of me you can actually see with the lighting, of course, but I'm not a huge fan of the fact that this car is sitting in the right lane. I can give it a left indicator to sort of tell it to sort of get out of the overtaking lane, but yeah, not a huge fan of that. It should probably proactively get in the left lane. Now, something interesting, it's just misread the speed sign. This is an 80 zone here, as you can see pretty clearly on the digital signs, but the car thought it's 60 and now it's slowed down. So I've got to manually raise the speed limit there on the car. Something you've got to be mindful and obviously just pay attention and make sure the car, the speed limit's read is correct, that it's not picked up a higher limit than you're doing and then you get perhaps booked for speeding, which would obviously not be ideal. But yeah, some places where it definitely can be improved. But for the most part, it is pretty good in what it does. Now, coming up to another sort of slightly tricky junction, you can probably see behind me here on the GoPro, I don't know if you can see me on those cameras there. It's got to pull into the left lane and then sort of follow the right lane when it pops out. So it's done that first lane change quite well, and then it's got to hug the right lane. Whoa, what's it doing? What's it doing? What's it doing? What's it doing? Okay. Nope. Nope. Okay, I'm going to intervene there. Yeah, so it sort of picked the wrong lane and then got a bit confused and sort of almost went off that way, which is obviously not the direction I want to go with the car. It has also picked up a bit of a lower limit than I want. Picked up a 40k an hour speed sign. This area, pretty sure, is 50 or 60. 60 back there in the tunnel and 50 when you turn right here. I've manually increased that. There you go, 50 down there. I bumped up to 60 and I'm putting it back to 50 there. It has cameras rather than sensors, like LiDAR, for example, that some other cars can use with their lane centering systems. So it is not quite as capable, perhaps, when it's in sort of heavy rain and really bad weather, but it's cheaper, it's easier to engineer from a sort of production point of view. You don't need those expensive sensors, you just have a bunch of really good high-res cameras. Should really be going left lane. You can see it's got to make a quick left turn. It's going to miss that off-ramp pretty clearly. It needs to be in that right lane before that divided white line. Oh, no, that's a divided line. It can't do that. So yeah, it did miss that intersection. I suppose that's probably a good point to end this video and talk about what this tech Why is it going right? No, left, thank you. Okay, there we go. So there you have it. There is Tesla full self-driving. What do we think of this tech overall now we've driven it on the road here in Australia? Well, to be honest, it's a bit of a mixed verdict. On one hand, it is super capable. It's so much more capable in terms of what it can do than any other system that's already on the market, obviously with intersections, lane changes, different speed signs, all that kind of stuff. And it's as close as you can get to an autonomous car within the letter of the law in Australia, at least at the moment. But there are some rough edges to the system. You can see times where it's sort of got a bit confused, almost taken the wrong exit, things like that. And for $10,000, again, that's how much you're spending on this tech if you buy it outright. Obviously, you can also do a subscription model as well. I feel like it could be a little bit more refined, and obviously whether it's useful to you will depend on your use case. Do you do a lot of suburban driving? Are you a more cautious driver generally? In which case I think you'll see the value in it, but it's worth seeing if you take for a test drive at Tesla showrooms and see really if you can weigh it up, whether it actually will be benefit to you, that sort of significant amount of money that you will spend on this technology. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, give us a like. And for more details on the rollout of this software, in terms of when it's going to be available to the public, and obviously what Tesla cars are to be available on, head to Drive.com.au at the link in the description down below.